All right, my friends. Let's see if anybody's online right now. Anybody's online? There we go. How's everybody doing today? Live chat. All right, guys, this is my first live stream, so I'm trying to figure out all the different activities going on right now. But all right, let's go ahead and dig into some questions here. Pop this open. And if you want to ask anything, go ahead and put it in the chat box below. All right, guys, so welcome to my first live. I'm here in BGC, Bonifacio Global City, Metro Manila here in the Philippines. And yeah, thank you so much for putting in your questions here. I've got a whole bunch of them that we're going to go through. Hola. Hello, my friend. Awesome. All right. So what we're going to dig into real quick here is, like I said, I got some great questions from y'all, and we're just going to dive right in. So first question, the one that kind of comes up every once in a while, which is fun, is people ask me a lot. They're like, hey, what do you do for a living? And it's kind of fun because just being in the Philippines, they a lot of Filipinos too, they ask these great questions where they're always like, hey, like how much is this or how much do you make and stuff? What do you do for a living? And I get a lot of these questions, which is awesome, and a lot from many of you around the world. So, I've got a few questions here. What do you do for a living? How much do you make a year, if you don't mind me asking? How about what you do for a living? What do you do? What do you do for work there? So the thing is that I'll answer all these in one question. Number one, basically, is my background that I've mentioned before is I've built an electrical engineering background, over 35 years, and everything from flight test of systems engineering. Worked on a lot of different systems, naval vessels, a lot of aircraft, and other vehicles and stuff like that. So that was kind of my professional career: electromagnetics, communications, comm systems, kind of a lot of things like that. And then I did military communications. Did a little over 11 years with the Army Guard with military comms, and that was with Field Artillery 155 mechanized Paladins. And what's that? We were actually Army Aviation for a while, so I jumped into that for about 4 years. We were a Cobra Attack Helicopter Battalion. Then we switched over to Apaches. Then I took an officer commission, went through OCS, and was part of a light infantry communications officer. So that was kind of my background there. But all that's kind of the past. After moving abroad, basically I am living now off my investments and some savings. I still do some stock trading in the market. So some day trading and stuff, kind of more like swing trading. It's kind of my thing. And then I'm making a little bit of cash flow here on YouTube. And basically, I decided I'm going to basically turn this into more of a business. So that's one of many businesses I've started in the past. So I kind of made the big shift from more of a technical career to over here now to YouTube. So that's kind of the answer there. That's what I do, what I've done for a living, and what I do now. I have clients who reach out to me probably at least once a month. I get at least 1 or 2 emails from folks back in the U.S. if I want to come work on some engineering projects. But right now I'm kind of enjoying this. This is a very different thing for me. So just love having you all here and sharing kind of what I've been learning as I've been on this expat journey myself. So let's see here. Good morning. So Ray and BGC, hey there, Stingray. Is it Kinko? Yeah, hola. So Steve, hey, pun intended. Love it. Absolutely love it. Basically stocks. One of the things I'm a technical guy. So I actually like pivot trading, if you know what that is, which is Camarilla pivots. It's one of the things that I really enjoy. So basically doing expanded pivots, everything from so most pivots usually stop at like R4, but you can do calculations to take it all the way to R6 and S6. So I typically do intraday swings. I'm looking for like a wide pivot movement, but that's what I tend to do on the stock side. So I do large cap stocks, and I look at pivot trading and stuff. That's kind of my little corner of the world that I've been kind of playing with. I've played in the options market before, but that delta and everything just kind of bites me. That time the decay always has bit me. So, Mega, hey, Mega. So hi all. All right. So yeah, that's that. Does BGC have regular scheduled expat meetings? There are a few. There's a few. There a couple different groups here. There's actually a BGC Sunday morning. I believe it's usually Saturday, Sunday morning. I think it's Sunday though. It's a breakfast club. They have a BGC expat breakfast club. That's a YouTube or not YouTube, Facebook group that you can request to join, and basically people who live in BGC will kind of connect with that. There's a few other ones. I know California Expat. He's been doing some events here locally. I've actually seen him in the streets a few times. Usually we're like, I'll see him a block away or so. Haven't participated in any of his meetups, but yeah, just I've heard some really good things, and other things. There's a couple groups. I know there's one guys at BGC's. What's that? And that was brought up at one of those breakfast club meetings. So yes, there's definitely some expat regular meetup groups that they do here, and there's a lot of volunteer activities as well. People tend to kind of connect with a lot of other expats and stuff, and not just here, but all throughout the Philippines. You usually find them, and Facebook, really, my friends, is really the core where everyone kind of meets up when you kind of come to the meetup groups and stuff. And the reason I bring that up is even businesses in the Philippines, most businesses haven't gone out and created web pages and stuff like that, but most businesses will have some sort of Facebook presence. So Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, those tend to be extremely popular in Southeast Asia, and especially here in the Philippines. So what else we got here coming in? So locked into wheeling option. Okay, nice. Time on your side. That's true. That's very true. So, and very awesome. So nice pun intended. And Stingray, let's see. Does the Philippines have reciprocity with drive for rest license, citation, international driver's pass? Great question. I can speak about this from the U.S. side of the house, which is the international driver's permit, they call it. You can get that from AAA. And that license is, I actually got one the first time. What's nice about that is you can get it up to, I believe, about 3 months before you leave for a trip. So let's say you're leaving for a trip in August. Well, you can go in like June, and get the international permit and then make it valid. So it starts the day you show up in whatever country. Which is really nice. You're not basically getting it and having to have it expire, early on you. So you can get an international driver's permit like that. And again, I'm speaking from a U.S. perspective. And then that, along with your home driver's license, usually allows you to rent cars and actually be legal in a lot of countries when you have those two items together. And I believe it's only like $20 US for an entire year. And again, you can start that 1 year expiration timeline when you start your trip, right? You don't need to start at the moment you basically, purchase that from AAA. And all you have to do is take in a little passport photo. I think it's either, I don't know what the size is, 1x1 or 2x2. You take in a passport photo, you fill out some documentation, and then they just, essentially what it does, it just takes the driver's information, and it's a little booklet about the size of your passport, and it just changes the language to the different countries around the world, right? So it'll have different language in there, Spanish and everything. And then what's also nice in there is if you have a motorcycle stamp on your driver's license. So like I had the motorcycle endorsement, because I've been riding motorbikes and I was approved for that in the US. you can also get that also stamped on there. So if you're ever traveling and you have that with your home driver's license, and let's say you go to a place like Mexico or something, and you're renting scooters and you're running around the island, you know, like if you're in Cozumel, usually they don't bother you too much there. But if you're in other destinations, like here in the Philippines, and you're renting a motorbike, and they want to check your documentation, you know, you're going to need a motorcycle endorsement for that, especially if you're, you know, in some countries. Oh, let's see here, Ray. What do we got here? So, Stinger, I hope that kind of gave you there. So, for reciprocity, the way it works is you're going to need some sort of international driver's permit like that, and then. But yes, a lot of times the other thing is too is most countries, and this is something country specific, but most countries will allow you sometimes 30 days to 90 days, depending upon the country, to use your home driver's license as a valid. So you'll if you ever get pulled over, you'll need your passport and your driver's license, and then they'll check, okay, have you been in the country less than 30 days or less than 90 days? And then at that point, you can, you know, you'll be legal on the road or there, but it's country specific. I think here in the Philippines, you can use your driver's license without an international driver's permit with your, with your passport showing that stamp within that first 90 days, and you're still valid. So I'll check into that to confirm that, and I'll actually put that. What's that? I know I did a video about that, but I'll confirm that and make sure basically I put that out on the site. So, okay, Ray, what do we got here? Videos. Just brought one up yesterday. Can you share contact info and your electrical light installer? Recommended, thanks. Ray, I'm reading what you got here. So, okay, so Ray's basically saying here, I loved your ADV 160 videos, just brought it up yesterday. Thank you. It's a great bike. It is perfect for the Philippines here. And yes, my electrician, I do have his contact information in there. He's got a Facebook group. But yeah, if you go into the position description, it is in there. He is the light installer and the mechanic shop near me. So he actually, so his name is John, and his contact info is in there. He's got a Facebook page. He actually does on-site. So he will, around the Manila area, he actually will come to certain areas within the Manila area and actually do on-site installations. And he also has kind of a carport area now set up. I believe he's up in Quezon City. And he does it also on location at his place too. So he's very well known within the Manila community on the motorcycle side. And if you go to his Facebook page there, let me actually find it for you here real quick. While I'm pulling this up here, I will dig into a few more questions. Let's see if we can get it here. Pop over to channel. And Ray, I'll drop that in here real quick. Give me a second, guys, here. Because a lot of you guys have been asking about this stuff, which is great. Yeah, John component. Let me just grab this, copy this, paste it right in here. There you go, guys. That's Mr. John. Highly recommend him. Excellent installer. All right, so let's dig in here. What else we got? So, absolutely, Stingray. Thank you. So, all right, let's see. Hello, I say Expat from Junkman. In one of your videos, moving around mailboxes, you mentioned that you have used membership clubs. So, yes, so I have used those. I started full-time RVing back in, I believe it was 2015 or 2016 in the US. And I gone through a couple different short-term and long-term rentals, and then wound up getting a big Class A motor coach. So an older one, it was a old 2000 Fleetwood Bounder, and absolutely love that thing. And I lived out of that for a while, kind of did the whole full-time RVing experience. So I had been with Escapees for about that time. I was already living in Florida at the time, so making my domicile was already valid. So I didn't have to change that to a different state. And for those of you who are asking, the RV Club Escapees they own property in 3 different locations. They own property in Florida, Texas. This is your main location, and then they have another one in I believe it's North or South Dakota. It's one of the two, one of the Dakotas. And they're the three best places to actually insure large RVs and set up domicile for specifically full-time RVing purposes. So I did that, and I still have the option to go back and continue that lifestyle if I want to. So I just maintained everything with them. So Escapees is how I maintain my domicile in Florida. And even though I've been a resident of Florida since 2006, that's just something that I just kind of maintain there. So that's where I keep my address and voting and everything in the state of Florida. And then you're absolutely correct. I actually use, so it's interesting because Escapees, their main facility is located in Texas. That's where they actually have like a post office, their own post office, and an RV park there. My mail, my actual physical mail, goes to Texas, right? So when you set up a mailing address, you'll notice, like if you go on your credit card statement, it'll say what's your physical address. Well, my physical address is the address in the state of Florida, and then it says what's your mailing address, and that's in the state of Texas. So my any mail that comes in will go to Texas there, and then my domicile, right, for legal purposes, maintains in Florida, and that's good for taxes and stuff too. So that's how I have that set up. And then yes, I-1 Postal, I have actually used that for many of my businesses. In fact, I still maintain a small engineering consulting company in the state of Florida, so a little S corp there, and I use iPostal One as, and I've been using them since about 2014. So I've been with them like 12 years. And it costs me, I don't know, about 130, 150 bucks a year to have a small mailbox with them. And they do the same thing. When something comes in, I can request, I want them to scan it. And that just keeps basically everything valid from a receiving mail perspective. I don't physically have to be on site. So that's how I have that set up. So yeah, and I hope that helped there. That's how I have that structured. But Escapees, like I said, is one of them that I've used on a full-time RV. There are other, I know, options out there to set up domicile in various locations. And if you're looking at doing kind of more of a slow travel, long-term travel, something like that, you may want to look into, what options you have. And a big one I know a lot of people use is they'll just, use a family member who has, whether it's a niece or a nephew, a grandparent, a parent, something like that. They'll use that as their primary address, right? So for their physical location, and then they will go and travel the world, do RVing, stuff like that. So that's typically what most people do, and then others you can set up more, domicile with either a club or a service or something like that. So that's that. Let's see here. How do you navigate taxes living in VGC? So I did wind up, actually, pun intended, thank you for the great question. So I did wind up beyond the 183-day rule, all right, here in the Philippines in 2015. So once you go over that 183, which is a 6-month period of time, you do fall into the tax net if you are making income locally within the country. And because I was making YouTube videos, and even though YouTube from the US was paying me, because it's not where the company is based, it's where the income is earned. That's the way they talk about taxes. So the income was basically being earned by producing content in the Philippines. And because one, I was producing content here, and two, I went over that 183-day rule, that from a legal perspective, that made me have to get the tax identification number here. So they have the BIR, the Bureau of, Bureau of, it's like our, taxes in the US, but the BIR here, it's their, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the acronym. But it basically, it is their version of the IRS here in the Philippines. And so internal revenue or something, but the BIR, I had to go down there. I had to register, right, as a foreigner. Now it's not a work permit because I can't work for a company here in the Philippines, but because I was doing the work here, but working for someone abroad, right, and bringing that money in because the work was performed here, that's kind of where the legal structure kind of came into place. And they were actually really surprised when I went to the BIR. They were just like, wow. They're like, people usually don't come down here and register, but my background's engineering. I kind of, I do things correctly, and I read the fine print. And after reading, really where that legal requirement was, I, took it upon myself to register because, that's just the right thing to do in my mind. So I did that, registered, got a TIM, and then every quarter I had to file basically a form with them, and then I wound up actually paying taxes for 2 quarters, right? 2 quarters I wound up paying taxes here in the Philippines. Now, if I stay over that 183 again here in 2016, I got more travel coming up, so not sure about if I'll fall into that tax net again, but that's kind of how things happened here for me last year. So great question. All right, let's see here. There's John there. Have you had any experiences with stolen, missing packages, credit cards, sensitive documents, or sensitive information when using it? No, none. Right. In fact, that's what's really nice about them is, and the thing is, I usually don't get anything really sent. I don't have them really accept packages because I use them as more of I try to do as much as I can digitally online. But if something comes in, a lot of times, and here's what's nice about it too, is like for like escapees, or even iPostal One, if I want them to physically send something to somebody, like let's say a credit card, a renewal credit card comes in, I can contact them and say, hey, something, I want you to send that to my niece in this state. And I just give them the address, I gave the information, and they will just basically take the unopened mail, stick it in an envelope, and I can tell them, hey, I want it going, priority mail, however I want to send it, and they will forward it on, all right, with tracking numbers and everything to someone I determine to receive that, if I want that person to have that item. A lot of times I'll just have them, I pay to have them scan stuff too, but if I expect a credit card or some document like that coming in, I may have them send it off to a family member or something like that. But great question. Let's see here. Do you receive a pension? So Mega, let's see here. Do you receive a pension, or do you just live on investments and savings right now? Yeah, I do not receive a pension. I'm only 56. I have a small pension out there that I don't think kicks in until my early 60s. Social Security obviously won't kick in till then if I wind up drawing on that. And even my Roth, I can't touch that till I'm 59 and a half. So right now it's basically just a few more years before really anything starts kicking in. So I'm just kind of, living on savings, investing, some trading and stuff. And I planned a lot for that. I don't have tons stashed away, but the nice thing is balancing that cost of living, which is one of the reasons why I decided to move overseas, was I was able to manage a comfortable cost of living and keep my expenses low at the same time, stretching out a lot of those savings and investments. Great question. Let's see what else we got here. Customer service experience with either services, fantastic. Escapees they're a family. I mean, that's the simplest way I could put it. I call them up. I'll even call them here from the Philippines here, and I use Wi-Fi calling. And I'll reach out to them and stuff if I have a question. In fact, like there's times I'll just call them up and be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in like a month. Can you go check my box? And they physically will get up from their desk, go down, pick up the phone down there and be like, okay, here's what's physically in your box. So just absolutely a wonderful team there. And same thing with iPostal One. I've only dealt with them on chat, but what's incredible with them is their response with email or even chat, they get back to me right away. I mean, even if I put a low priority email to them, I usually hear back within 2 or 3 days max. But a lot of times I'll just jump on chat with them, and just do a chat session to answer any questions. But rarely am I actually reaching out to customer service because they handle it really well. Okay, what about taxes from trading? I'm trading most of my trading actually is in my retirement accounts, so that kind of avoids that. That's one that folks talk about a lot. So I do have a cash account, a margin account that I do some day trading in, and that's a whole different topic. All right, but I actively make sure that I am trading a lot in my retirement account specifically, so I'm not getting kind of caught in that net. But great question. Have you, okay, so Leroy, have you had to do over, would you buy the ADV 360 touring around, extra luggage, weight, passengers? Excellent question, my friend, excellent. And I'm glad you actually put this in here. You probably know that the ADV 350 was not originally available in the Philippines. They didn't release it here. They only released the 160 and the ADV X, which is the 750. Incredibly expensive motorbike. Beautiful, but expensive. I think I could buy 4 160s for the cost of the ADV X. But yeah, they did release the ADV 350 here. It's a great bike. Honestly, I think for the Philippines, the 160, especially that I'm here in Manila, is probably the best for me because it is a little smaller, it's a little lighter, and getting through the traffic here and having that nimble 160 really works, especially in the city. I haven't had any issues with it out in the province traveling and stuff. Now the 350 would give me more power, would give me more luggage and passenger ability. Right now, I mean, if I were to do it all over again, I think the 350 is an excellent choice. It absolutely is. And would I do it over again? No, I think I still would buy the 160. All right. Now the 350, if I was living more in more of the islands and I had more open roads, definitely. The only thing that I think the challenge with the 350 is here in the Philippines is you can't go on the motorway, the expressways, the tollways with anything less than a 400cc motorbike. So even if you got the 350, it still doesn't open up those the motorways for you. So you're still stuck on the regular standard roads. You can't get on the expressways. That's a little bit of a challenge there. But it's not just here. So if you, let's say you're in Thailand, I know a buddy of mine who lives over there, and all of the expressways there, no motorbikes are allowed. So really, they're great bikes, but yeah, I think the 350 is ideal. But I think, looking at prices and everything, I think the 160 is the way I've got it dialed in, and I put a number of upgrades into it. So yeah, the 350, great bike, but it would be a tough choice between those two. All right, so what else we got here? Okay, like this, the Philippines tax short-term capital gains, and I will definitely be putting a video together on a lot of banking and trading and stuff. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to give speculation here. I want to verify everything. So pun intended. What's that? Wait for that video. it may take me a month, may take me 6 weeks to do. I've got some travel coming up here, but yes, I will definitely take note of that and start digging into a lot of those topics. So thank you for bringing those up. Let's see, John, hello. Glad I haven't caught up with you. Yeah, John, great. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Thank you, John. So I was wondering if you know anything about visas. My spouse is retiring here and looking at visas. I'm worried about the cost. Okay. Yes, and I haven't covered much visa stuff on my channel specifically because I know there are a number of services that offer a lot of that information and it's up to date, and things change, not all the time, but there are changes that do happen. I know that there is a digital nomad visa that's been coming up. There's been talk about that. I don't believe it's being issued yet. The 30,000, that price did recently go up. And there's different SRRV visa options. So there is that 30K. There's I believe it went to 15K if you buy a property. And yeah, so there's a number of visas depending upon what your situation is. There is one that is popular amongst the military members and what I've been looking into. So if you have a DD-214, you've served in either the U.S. military or a military service in other foreign countries that the Philippines recognizes as sort of a reciprocation where they have tax treaties and stuff with those other countries. So probably, more of your Western countries. If you served in those militaries, whatever that equivalent DD-214 is, you can probably qualify for it's called the SRV courtesy, and it's a lower deposit. But there's one thing I want to bring out with all the SRVs and this is something people tend to kind of overlook, is usually there is a processing fee, and that processing fee, I know on the military side, the processing fee is, I believe it's $1,400 US, so $1,400 US to process the application, and it's a one-time fee. And then there is I think it's like 300, somewhere between 380 or something annual maintenance fee on that visa as well. And so not only on some of these SRVs, you want to ask the question is, okay, if I deposit 30,000 US into a Philippines account and I can get my SRV, you may also have to pay for a application fee. So that's a question you definitely want to ask. And you also may have to pay for a annual maintenance fee. That's another one. I do not believe the Philippines has a requirement to be in country when you have those visas. So if you're in country, you get the visa, and then let's say you have something medical that comes up, or you have family events that come up or something back in your home country, and you go back and you stay over a year in your home country again, or you do more external travel. I don't believe there is an annual, you have to be on the ground, 1 day or something a year to maintain activity for those visas. But that's why I kind of leave that to the professionals who set up a lot of that. But the questions you definitely want to ask is, what are all the associated fees, both with the application fee, the maintenance fee, as well as the requirements for the visa? There's 3 separate things there. So I hope that kind of gave you a little bit of insight to those visas. Okay, let's see here. How are you able to send your furniture, large items? I sold most of it. I did ship a few buying boxes over with just a few items that I really wanted to keep. And I brought a lot with me on the flight over. So I wound up paying for extra weight and extra bags. And I maxed it out. I mean, when I showed up, I looked like I was, like a family of 5, and it was just me. I had bags stacked up upon bags and stuff. But I did that specifically because, it was going to be cheaper to bring it, to pay the extra fee for checking bags. I think I checked 3 bags, and then I had my carry-on and then my laptop bag. So yeah, I wound up showing up with 4 bags plus my laptop bag on my original flight over. So that's kind of a good way I think most people do it. And then they will shuffle every once in a while back and forth. But furniture, things like that, you can get everything here. I mean, unless there's some like family heirloom you want to keep. Yeah, but for the most part, you probably you want to thin down before you move stuff over. I know some people will just move their whole household over, and if you have the ability to do that, at that point they're looking at your shipping containers. Well, they'll drop off a shipping container, or you'll have a professional moving company actually take your stuff, load it in a shipping container, and then the whole container ships over. So, but that's kind of the major household move. But for the most part, you can buy everything here, and it's kind of nice. You kind of get some new stuff. So, all right, let's see here. Hey, Family Adventure, Fab Family Adventure. Good morning. Let's see how this is going. So, how are you able to? Okay, the furniture. How do I go about filing my 1040? Great question. Again, tax questions. I love them. I've been using an accountant in the East Coast, so they're actually over in Atlanta. Even though I have Florida residency and stuff, my accountant, they used to live in Florida, and then they moved their office up into the Atlanta area many years ago, and I just been using them. And they're good folks and stuff. My stuff is pretty simple. I have the 1120S because of an S corp in Florida, and then my 1040. So I file both at the same time. I always put in extensions. In fact, we're 2 days away from the business extension, so they're doing that right now because March 15th is the business filings for S corps, and then April 15th, obviously, for 1040s. But I always put in an extension and then kind of do all that pretty much in August is usually when I file. But yeah, that's typically the way I do it. I just send them my documentation, but you can do everything these days online. In fact, a lot of the expats I know over here will still use QuickBooks and Quicken and those online tax services just to do their basic taxes. It's really simple. You just file that way, electronic signature, and you don't have to worry about basically sending anything in. So yeah, these days everything electronic is pretty easy to do. So great question. Thank you. Let's see what we got here. Have you looked into purchasing a home there? And if so, do you get decent value for money in a gated type community? So, Daniel, yeah, actually, great question. I have looked at some areas. Right now, I'm still in the exploratory mode. I want to do some more long travel. In fact, and I'll just announce it here. I am actually going to be moving out. I think I mentioned this in another video. I'm moving out of my place here in BGC. And I'm specifically doing that because I've got some more travel coming up. I had originally planned to go to Thailand for just a month to the big water fight over there, Solkaran. So I wanted to do that. I had planned that, bought my ticket last December to go, and wanted to spend a couple weeks on the ground exploring kind of Bangkok and just having some fun. And then that turned into, well, I've been in BGC for a while. Maybe I want to start looking elsewhere. So I am considering moving maybe down to Cebu or to another area here, probably after I get back. But I also miss kind of being out on the road, exploring on the motorbike. So what I decided is rather than basically keep my place, I'm in the process right now of putting everything into storage. In fact, there's a whole stack of boxes right over here. So I'm putting stuff in storage. My motorbike is already stored. So I found storage for that. So that's all established right now. And then in a couple weeks, I'm going over to Bangkok. I'll be there for a few weeks to participate in just kind of exploring the city there and at the Songkran Festival. And then I'll be back here right at the end of April. And then at that point, I'm probably either going to jump on the motorbike and start exploring again, or again, just kind of maybe spending some time locally. And just seeing what options I have available. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. But your question as to where to purchase, I'm keeping my eye open, but I don't want to plant roots just yet because I still haven't seen much of the Philippines. I've spent a lot of time exploring the northern island here in Luzon. I haven't spent any time down in central or south Philippines. And the same thing goes with other countries as well. Is that I just really haven't decided where I want to plant the flag yet. And it's a renter's market out here, right? That is something that is very well known here in the Philippines right now, especially in Metro Manila. It is a renter's market. So I kind of want to take advantage of that a little bit. As for, are you going to buy something and the price is going to go up? Like, prices kind of shot up the last 5 or 6 years, and they've stabilized. They've come back down a little bit, and I think they're pretty much just flat right now. There's a lot of inventory. There's probably close to 3 years of inventory of condos on throughout the Philippines on the market. Some areas like Iloilo and stuff, those areas don't have a lot of building. They got a lot of building going on now, but they didn't have in the past. So some areas are a little more challenging to find rentals. But in places like here, Metro Manila, and in other places, it is a renter's market. So I'm just keeping my eye open. Probably not going to buy for a while, and if I do, then I'll consider that. But gated communities, there's places like Clark, there's places like Navali, which is like in Santa Rosa, which is south of the city. Clark, which is north of the city by Angelo Cities. There's a lot of gated communities around, and then here in Metro Manila, there's a lot of gated communities. Whack Whack Golf. There is, the Forbes area, which is really high end. There's a lot of pockets that you can find really nice communities in. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for: city, island, and again, I know a lot of people these days are talking a lot about Clark, and it's a great upcoming area. But the one thing with Clark, it does have that both gated community and the more suburban feel. So if you do move there, you're going to need a car. And it's going to be very much like a U.S. head lifestyle where you're going to drive to the store every day. You're going to be, basically going from house to car to where your location back. It's whereas here in the city, in a place like BGC or whether in Makati or something, you can use more public transportation. You can use just, going out and walking and grabbing your groceries, just walking up the street. So different lifestyles for different folks there. But yeah, great question. What we got here? Yeah, so pun intended. Yeah, I'll definitely dig into more tax stuff here. I know, especially with tax season coming up, that's a question I know is on a lot of people's minds. So great questions. Thanks for putting this in here. So how much? And if I botch names, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. So, men's MEZUK. Okay, men's Q27. I'm probably botching it. So how much pocket money should I bring with me? 2 weeks vacation, BGC, flight, breakfast, already paid for. Here's what I would do. Right, and this is. I'll just tell you exactly what I did. When I got to the airport, I know the currency exchanges at any airport you go to are going to give you kind of not great rates. They're going to have maybe a fee or something like that. But when I first got to the airport, I brought a couple $100, yeah, US $100 bills with me. I went in there and I exchanged just $100. That's all I wanted to have some pocket cash before I hit the streets, before I got my taxi. So when I had all my bags stacked up and everything, I just rolled over the cart to the currency exchange window. I changed $100, right? I wound up getting, the peso, Filipino peso exchange for that. So I had cash right there. Now, people are going to say, well, why didn't you go to the ATMs? Unless it is a bank ATM, I tend not to use them. If it's an off-brand, like one of these ATMs that's like just a kiosk ATM, that's some unnamed brand, I'm not a fan of personally using them. I want to go to a bank that has an ATM attached to it. So if it's a BDO, if it's a, pick your bank in any country, RSBC, something like that, I want to go to those ATMs and then use, whether it's Fidelity, Schwab, use one of those cards that reimburses my ATM fees, right, and pull cash out like that. But typically, when you're at an airport, you're going to see more of the kiosks, right? A large airport will have a few banks there, but the kiosks, the ATM kiosks, will usually charge you, not the best fees, right? And again, you can get those reimbursed, but again, I'm not a fan of really using those. So I'll just get cash, right? And that's what I did at the airport, right? I got some pocket cash there. Got my over here it's called Grab, which is the equivalent of like Lyft and Uber in the U.S. Got me a Grab, went to my Airbnb, and then once I checked in, got settled, I had some cash in my pocket. At that point, that's when I went out and I found the bank, and then I pulled some cash out with my ATM or with the ATM card, right? So I had more cash. Typically in the Philippines, I would do this is I would carry, most people pull out about 10,000 pesos, which is about 180 to 200 US dollars, depending upon the exchange rate. But typically, carrying around 200 US dollars equivalent in cash is very comfortable, right? There's no place you're going to go for multiple days and spend that much. So carrying between 5 and 10,000 pesos on you is typically, and usually I'm carrying less. I usually carrying about 5,000 on a daily basis with me. But initially, pull out 10, keep 5 basically, back in one of your bags. That's a really good option. And then the other one is again, bank ATMs. So I wouldn't feel like you need to carry a ton with you. In fact, I wouldn't do that. And again, keep a small wallet, keep it in your front pocket. Don't keep a big fat wallet in your back pocket. And thin it down too. Only carry when I go out, I carry, 1 or 2 credit cards, maybe an ATM card, and some cash and an ID. Right? I don't carry everything with me because if something happens, I still have a few credit cards back, basically with my bags. And then if something happens back in the room, right? And just hypothetically, it's never happened to me, but let's just say there was a theft or something. I never put all my basically eggs in one basket. Nothing is ever in one place. So that's what I tend to do. But yeah, great question. So don't carry a ton with you. Split it up. But there's ATMs everywhere. All right. What else we got here? Ooh, this is great. We got questions coming in. Give me a sec, guys. Get a community, got that. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. What is comfortable monthly budget? Here's what I'll say, pun intended. Great question. Is I put my budget videos up. I'm spending just over 1,800 US dollars in total here on a monthly budget here in BGC. Now, I did a video last year, which was living as a tourist. That's the name of the video. And that's when I was living exclusively in Airbnbs. And I believe that number came out to about 2,500 US dollars because of the added cost of Airbnbs. So, that number was up there. So I would think a comfortable budget, if you were basically living like a tourist, if you're coming, you're living for months on, a month on end or several months on end, and you want to be going out, you want to be eating, you want to, have drinks with friends, stuff like that. A budget between 2,500 and 3,000 on a monthly budget. Again, eating out a lot, that's a comfortable budget. All right. So I would not try when you start to get under 2,000. That could be a little tight if you're eating out a lot at Western style restaurants. Now, if you were in the province, if you're in smaller communities, yes, you're going to be able to eat less, right? The cost of housing there is going to be less, right? But if you're in Manila, you're in Cebu, you're in IT Park area, you're in some of the more these touristy areas, you're in places like Bohol or some of these, you go to Siargao especially, you're going to be spending US style prices. So you want a budget, for about that 2,500, 3,000 on a monthly budget when your mind is in tourist mode and you're exploring. So that's what I'd recommend there. Please talk about the pros and cons of, so Robert, hey, what do we got here? So can you please talk about the pros and cons of severing state residency? If it's a place where, yes. So if you are talking, and I'm assuming you're talking U.S. state residency. So pros and cons are basically, and I think this is whether you're living abroad or not, and that is the number one comes down to taxes, right? So Florida has no state income tax. Texas has no state income tax. If you're running businesses and you want to go to a business-friendly state, and again, Nevada is one, Texas is one. There's a number of states out there. Tennessee is another really good one. Places like California, places like New York, New Jersey, unless you're, launching an IPO and you're doing some, C Corp major structure, you don't need to go to Delaware. That's old money there, and that's big time. But if you're just looking at severing, they're considering moving to another state or at least moving your residency to another state. It really comes down to your own specific situation. And I'll say this, many years ago, I remember when my mom and my stepfather we were out in Arizona, and he was looking at another place to come back to the East Coast. We had all moved from New Jersey out to Arizona, and then we wound up moving, or they wound up moving back to the East Coast, and they wound up actually picking Georgia. And the one thing I remember my stepfather had told me was he chose Georgia because he had a pension, that he was retired at that point. He had a pension and some dividend income coming in. And he said they chose Georgia because dividend income as well as his pension was not going to be taxed. So that's, what I think most retirees are looking at is essentially look at your situation, where is your revenue coming from, and what is that state structure going to do? And, and also think about what if you do other things, if you start getting into any kind of trading or short-term capital gains, what are your tax liabilities specifically for that state? So those are the questions you want to ask yourself. And if you are in a high tax state, you definitely may want to consider, you can still live there. Right. It doesn't mean you can't live there. Right. But if and a lot of people are doing that these days and have been for many decades, and that is setting up their domicile in another location, and then still maintaining a second home in some places. And again, there could be some tax implications there, but you want to work with a financial advisor on that one. But great question. Yeah. If I missed anything, people please point it out. How much pocket money? Very good. Okay, John, let's see what we got here. Very good. Thank you. The fact that you know about it makes me feel better. Yeah, you're welcome. So one of the things I wanted to check was the legitimacy of it. Yep, cool. Cheers, man. Appreciate it. So, all right, we're cooking with gas here, guys. This is great. Thank you for your answer. Absolutely. So, do you cook food or you enjoy? Yes, I both. So, tapsi log, which is the little egg, the garlic rice, and some meat. It's usually either beef or sometimes they'll do like a marinated pork. That's my favorite breakfast. If I'm on the road, I am always looking for tapsilog in the morning. That's my go-to breakfast. Great protein, fills me up. So yes, that is if I'm eating Filipino food, I'm eating tapsilog, insania chicken, which is the barbecue style chicken. Love that. The barbecue is. I eat a lot of meat, so that's something I'm always looking for. Andox has barbecue skewers that I get all the time. I'll go there and get 3 or 4 skewers and just stand out front and just eat them. Right? They're just great. So that's what I'm typically eating on the Filipino food side. But yes, I do cook a lot at home. And that's one of the reasons why I save a lot on my grocery bill is I eat a lot of eggs. My normal morning routine is bacon and eggs, or just eggs. So I usually have 3 or 4 eggs. I'll scramble up. That's typical breakfast with coffee, which is my massive coffee cup. These are actually technically soup bowls with a handle, but I, I like my coffee. What can I say? So yeah, great question. But Mega, yes, I do cook a lot at home, and I like that. And that's something I also really like about finding Airbnbs is when I'm going to an area and I'm going to get an Airbnb for a period of time. Usually, I'll stay there. If I've not stayed there before, I'll try to stay there just for maybe a few days or a week, and I'll do that in an area. I'll stay in a couple different Airbnbs and find out which ones I like and which ones actually have good cooking supplies. And then once I get that established, and this is what I did for a number of months here, is I'll go back to the same Airbnb and then I'll start to book it out for multiple weeks, right? Sometimes even a month or so, and I'll stay there, explore the area, get to know the area, and wind up actually feeling like I'm part of the neighborhood. And then I can go grocery shopping, I can cook, and I know they have all the cooking supplies for me there, and that's been kind of just a really nice option of kind of exploring the city as well. That's how I was able to live in different places like Mandaluyong, Pasig here in the city, up in South Triangle, up in QC, a couple different places in Makati. So spending time in these different areas within the Metro Manila region, uh, I did that by living in Airbnbs for blocks of time. But I always kind of went in first, tried it out a few days, and made sure that it kind of fit my what I was looking for. So great questions, guys. Do you have a personal cook? Nope. So you can hire one in province? Yes, exactly. So and that's just it. When you're in the city, cost of hiring services does significantly go up, whether it's cleaning services, housekeeping, cooks. It's very common, especially in the province areas and stuff, to have, hire out a lot of services. It's very inexpensive, and you're absolutely correct, right? You can, literally hire, you know, uh, housekeepers and staff to help you, with your daily life, activities. And then that's something you want to maybe look into. And that's kind of why I'm looking forward to exploring more throughout the Philippines is kind of seeing other areas, smaller towns and stuff, and maybe some places that I really want to kind of plant a flag in for a while and start to, get some services like that, have somebody, I kind of still like cooking. So something tells me I'll still do that no matter where I am. But yeah, that's just me. So let me jump into a couple questions here. John, I'll come right back to your question there. I want to hit a few of these that people were kind of putting out there. Somebody said in one of the questions they posted, is there a way to rent super close to BGC within walking distance to save on rent while still enjoying BGC amenities? Okay, this is a great question. I want to keep my rent budget to 300 US dollars. All right, now this is a great question because this actually talks about a couple different things. So yes and no. You can rent close to to BGC within walking distance, and walking distance could be within a kilometer or two, 3 kilometers, something like that. So you're not going to be 2 blocks away, come around the corner. But here's the challenge with that is you're now going to be living in areas that a lot of the locals who are actually working in BGC and the surrounding communities, it's going to be much more crowded. Your options are going to be limited, and your price is still going to be, you're not going to get, you're going to be living basically in a lot tighter communities. It's not going to just be like, oh, I'm going to get an apartment complex over here for 300 budget. That's going to be challenging. Now you can get areas like over in Mandaluyong and Pasig where you're actually on the other side of the river. You may have to, again, be about 2 kilometers or so away for that money. And whether you're walking into like Makati on the north end by Power Plant Mall, which is by Rockwell, there are people who live in Mandaluyong who actually come over the bridge and do that. But for BGC now, and this is the thing I want to kind of bring up here. It's more than just your budget from a cost perspective. If your budget's 300 to live on, you're really not gaining anything by living close to BGC because BGC is more expensive anyway. The cost of living here is going to be more expensive, right? So even though you're living close, walking into an area just to spend more money on the same services that you can spend in another area for less doesn't really make a lot of sense. You're not really gaining anything by just living on the outskirts. I mean, you can find a lot of similar places to BGC and have a better cost of living. So maybe living in different parts of Makati or different parts of the city, or even starting to get out into other, like neighboring areas, like on the north end of QC, up in Valencia, south of the city, down in Cavite. There's a lot of areas where a lot of people live that you can have reasonable cost in rent, but also access to a lot of different amenities. So I would say, I know people tend to focus on BGC. And if you want to, again, get away from kind of the Metro Manila area, start getting into more of your mid-sized towns and stuff, you can still, have a very affordable budget and access to a lot of, the malls and the different amenities. So, trying to plant your flag and say, I want to be close to BGC, I think there's a lot better options, and you can save a lot more and have a better quality of life, all right, than trying to, come into an area where, because again, the restaurants here are going to cater to more of that crowd that is spending more money. So, saving money on rent, right, just to spend more at a restaurant, just use BGC as maybe a place you come to for an event, right? If there's, come in for a weekend on a Christmas holiday, come in for some fireworks or something. But other than that, I would find other places. And like I said, you start getting outside of the city, south of the city, north of the city, or even other areas. And I think people would say the same thing about Cebu, right? That's like, do you need to live in IT Park, or can you live in other areas that's going to provide you with the same kind of experience? So that's my take on that. Okay. Personal chef. Okay, John C. When it comes to the basic things you need in the U.S., like internet, grocery stores, how do you compare when living in the Philippines? Okay, internet actually is really good. I'm on, so what I found in Manila and a lot of areas of the Philippines, when you start getting into more of your rural areas on some of the islands, yes, you're going to run into challenges, especially when typhoons are coming through. But these days, especially here in the city and a lot of the places, the Clark, Angeles City, down in Batangas City, kind of all over, you're going to actually have good internet. I have fiber here, and I actually have a slow plan. I only have 250 megabits per second. I can get a gigabit if I want, or gigabyte. I know somebody corrected me on the bits and bytes, and yes, you're right. So, but yeah, I can get really high speed here, and even in the city here, I can get 5G on my phone. So internet's really good. I haven't had any issues with it. Let's see, when it comes to comparable living, the few things that do pop up is when it comes to basics, there are a few differences. One of the ones which is kind of interesting is men's deodorant. It sounds crazy, but in the store, you're only going to find like the little ones and these little roll-on ones and stuff. the actual regular size deodorant, I actually have to buy off either Lazada or Shopee, which is kind of their version of Amazon here. Um, and then you can also buy stuff on Amazon and have it shipped in as well. So that's also an option. But some items that are like personal care items that, maybe something that you are used to a certain brand or something, a few of those, if you can't find them, you can usually find them on Lazada or Shopee. And that's what I tend to do is if I can't find something, I'll go on one of those sites. And oftentimes what it is somebody is shipping in those items and they're, into their own like personal store, and then they're reselling them and making a little bit of profit on that. So you may pay a premium for it, but you can still get some of those items. But the thing is, I mean, people have been living over here just like anywhere else on the planet for, their whole lives. So, you might be able to do without a certain brand. In fact, I've changed soap brands a couple different times and everything since I've moved here, just because, what's available. But yeah, great question. Do you see yourself staying in Southeast Asia all your life? Have you planned? No, I actually, this is going to be uh, one of my areas I want to stay in. So thank you so much for the question there. So Mega, Mega Nova, I gotta get Mega Terra Nova. Okay, that's what I'm catching. So Mega Terra Nova, yes. I do plan on exploring more. I have actually family heritage from Central Europe, from the Slovakia and Hungarian area. I want to go spend some time over there. In fact, I had planned on doing that before the whole Ukraine war kicked off, and that actually made me kind of pause a vacation to go over there. And then I started looking at South America as Ecuador as one of my options before I moved here to Southeast Asia. And then when I decided to move to the Philippines, that was my transition. I think I came over here at the end of August 2023. And I've done some travel here in Southeast Asia. But yeah, I think Southeast Asia is going to be definitely a place I plan to flag as a primary location of the world. But I'm still going to travel internationally. And then I see living back in the U.S. as sort of a going back to visit, but not so much living, so much. And not because it's not anything like, oh, I don't want to live there anymore. It's just I've lived in 14 different states all over the U.S., including Alaska. And I've got to experience pretty much every client and every kind of, pretty much everything the U.S. can throw at you. So whether it's the humidity of Florida, the cold and both the summer and winter of Fairbanks, Alaska, whether it's the Pacific Southwest, or excuse me, the Pacific Northwest, up in Oregon, Seattle, down in, I spent time in Tucson, Arizona, in California, in Oregon. I mean, I've covered most of the U.S., even Wichita, Kansas. So dead center of the country. I've kind of lived most of that. So now it's just like, I see the rest of the world now. It kind of feels like states. It's like if I pop to a different country, it just feels like I'm going to a different state now. So that's kind of the transition I've made, and it feels great. So yeah, I plan on living throughout the world, and with trips back to the U.S. because that is my home country, and I still love it. So yeah. Let's go Tucson. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So Wichita, I actually, oh, cool. You actually grew up there. That's awesome. Yeah, I was up in the Bel Air area up on the north end when they just started building it out. I mean, it was, it's grown ever since, but yeah, way up there on the north end. I was up there for a while. So do you see yourself staying in BGC for several more years? No, actually, I am going to be moving out of BGC here. What's actually at the end of this month, and then I'm going to start exploring more of the Philippines, and also doing some more travel here internationally. So great question there. So goody, great question. Yeah, BGC is a great soft landing, and I would highly recommend that for most people on their first transition over. Either BGC or like Greenbelt and Makati, and or like IT Park, Cebu area. Those are some great places to kind of plant the flag initially, and then from there branch out and kind of see what else kind of mixes in. And this is actually this ties into a great question because somebody asked me here too. Expat Mike on one of the questions he tossed in here. On one of the comments was, hey, Brian, other than condo costs, what is your general thoughts and opinions of the uptown area in BGC or High Street? And this is great. So BGC actually has 3 different areas that people tend to recognize. There's the Uptown area, which is on the north end. And BGC originally started building on the south end and built north. It kind of built from the south end and started building north and building west. So the south end, which is kind of down by High Street, that originally was the first part of BGC. That's where I live now. And then as it built north, that's where Uptown is. And then on the west side, that's over by the Forbes Town Center area. So there's really three areas: Uptown, High Street, and Forbes Town Center is the three kind of neighborhoods within BGC. The Uptown area, it's more modern, it's newer. You're going to find more nightlife there. You're going to find street performers. You're going to be out there, playing music, singing stuff on the street. It's got the Uptown Mall. It's beautiful, great area. You're going to find more of your nightlife, your clubs, so nightclubs and stuff up there. And that's where you're also going to find more visitors. So whether that's a positive or negative, I'll let you decide. And you're going to find more Airbnbs up there. That's just the way it is. So it is noisier at night. It has more nightlife. So if you're looking for that, that's where you're going to find more of your nightlife is in the Uptown area. Now, High Street is where you're going to find, it's more, I wouldn't say refined, but it's a more family friendly. There's more events that go on. So that's where your fireworks go on. That's where your more social restaurants, coffee shops. High Street stretches east to west across BGC, and it really provides a lot of that social interaction. But the thing is, it gets quiet at night. So around 11 to 1 o'clock in the morning, everything really is shut down. High Street really starts shutting down around 10:30, 11. And it's also where you're going to find a lot of your professionals who are working in the city, a lot of families in the area. So a lot of the condo buildings that are around your High Street area and south are going to be more established, the more your families and stuff. So you'll find that. Then, as I mentioned, Forbes Town Center, that is just west of High Street. And that's going to be both a mix of the two that I just mentioned. You're going to have some clubs over there, not really your really banging nightclubs. I mean, there's Dr. Wine and stuff, which is very popular. You're going to have more of your higher end restaurants, and you're going to have some very quiet and upscale areas. So, not uncommon to see, the guy with the Porsche or the Ferrari or something like that. You're going to feel like it's, I can't even compare it to like some US cities. I was about to say it's kind of like South Beach, but it's not. It's just one little street area that's only a couple blocks long. So it's really not big. But you're going to find a lot of that restaurant vibe there. A lot of restaurants basically have open, outside seating with the umbrellas and stuff. You'll find a lot of that in Forbes Town. Great food and a great place to go. And a lot of times people will hang out on High Street. They'll do a lot of events there. And then as High Street starts to close down, everyone kind of migrates over to Forbes Town and, continues, over there. Or they'll migrate up into Uptown for more of the nightclub, going out club scene. So that's kind of how BGC operates there, but it's kind of what you're looking for. So yeah. How do you maintain a mailing address in the U.S. Medicare? Okay, I'm on Medicare. I'm 56, so I don't really get any of that right now. So I maintain, I have an RV club that I'm a part of, Escapees, and I maintain my domicile and residency and mailing address through them. There's many options, whether it's using a family member for maintaining a physical address, but there's a lot of mailing address services that you can get. iPostal One is one I've mentioned on here before. Traveling Mailbox is another one. Escapees is one. There's a lot of services where you can have your address, mail items sent to. But for banking and all of that, for Medicare, you're going to need a physical address. And if you are traveling like me, you either have a domicile service that you're part of a club or an organization, or you use a family members, or even I know some people who even will buy they'll physically buy an RV spot all right, in an RV park and maintain that as their primary address, or they will buy a piece of land and they will maintain that. So there's many options to do that with. I've even known people who will just like, for a small amount, will rent like an apartment over somebody's, garage or something, and they just never go there, but it's very inexpensive, and they just kind of keep that, and their mail comes every once in a while, and they have their mail actually sent to, a mail service, so the mail isn't sitting in a mailbox there. So there's lots of ways of doing it. Um, and yeah, I did a video on covering some of the mail stuff. But I will definitely do another one here because I know that a lot of great questions have been coming up on that. So that's definitely what I'll put on the thing. Your mic in my connection is causing, is this everybody hearing me okay? Or is it blipping in and out? And I may be losing power. If I'm losing power, let me know. Can someone give me a thumbs up if we're good? Green Makai is fantastic. Exactly. Under construction. Okay, great. You've been fine for me? Okay. Yeah, mic is fine. All right, guys. So yeah, might be just a little blip in and out on your connection there. So, but all right, guys. So let's see. I think we kind of hit. Thank you. Great. Okay. I think we hit a lot of them here. And somebody, I got a couple little ones here real quick. So somebody said, if there's any problems with the fees, sudden costs or surprises in condos, and they're so inventing man, so here it is. So any problems with the fees, leaks from, sure what that is, sudden call surprises in your condo. I think they're asking about HOA fees. And so if they're referring to HOA fees are typically covered by the owners when you're renting here in the Philippines. So that'll be covered. So if there's anything that comes up, you're basically just paying for usage of utilities. So electric, water, but anything to do with like amenities or anything to do with HOA fees, assessments, or anything, that's going to basically be on the owner when you rent the place. And you want to make sure that that is included, right? And that's very common here, that the owner pays for that. The only thing that you may pay for if it's not incorporated into the cost of rent is maybe a parking space. So that may be above and beyond, because sometimes the owner will have a unit, but they physically don't have a parking space. Because when they sell the units, sometimes they may not be tied together. So you may have to rent an automobile parking space from someone else, right? Or sometimes they'll bundle it together. So it really depends on the building you're in. One thing I will say about increases of fees or anything is be aware of exchange rates. This is the one thing that can surprise people. I've seen over the last 2.5 years, the exchange rate from the US dollar to the Filipino peso bounce anywhere from about 55 to it's almost 60 right now. So typically sits around 57, 58, but a few times it will bounce down to 55. And if you, let's say you're, if it drops to 55, but you're used to renting at the exchange rate of 58, well, you may have a 20, 30, sometimes, depending upon how much you're paying in rent, that can swing 50 or $100, right? Especially if your rent is $1,000 or more, you may have, $100 swing in your cost of rent. So you need to have some flexibility in your budget that you can absorb that. So just be aware of that. So as the exchange rate happens, this is why it's good, all right? If you're able to, when the exchange rate's really good, move a chunk of money over, and then that way it covers your fees. So even if the rate does change, you've got money in the peso. So you're not surprised when the rate changes. Okay, what are your thoughts on expats and tourism in general in the Philippines currently? Expats, I think I just did a short on this one. It's a very small percentage of actually expats and retirees. I mean, it's very small. Now, concentrated in areas, yes, if you go to places like Dumaguete, here in BGC, places in Cebu, you're going to see a lot more. But once you get out of the kind of more either the touristy areas or really the areas where you have a lot of expats living, we make up an incredibly small percentage, right? As for tourism, I have heard many times, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but tourism compared to the other Southeast Asian nations is still down. I think that it does come from a cost of living. So it's a little more expensive here because again, it's an island nation, and that island nation, you know, when you get here, it's going to cost you more to fly to different places. So, you know, cost to, if you fly into Manila, then you're going to jump on a plane and fly to Surigao, you're going to fly to Bohol, something like that. You're going to have all these extra expenses. So that's one, I think the challenges they do have a little bit here when it comes to tourism. But you know, there's still a lot of people coming, and there's a lot of great areas still to explore in the Philippines. So, but John, great question. All right, my friends, we're kind of getting up past the hour here. And let's see. I'm selling my house here in California and getting residency in South Dakota, then moving to Thailand. Excellent. That is excellent plan. All right. That is exactly, you know, you get your residency and your domicile set up there, something that works great for you, and then pop over to, you know, abroad. So, you know, safe travels on you. Great option there. So that's from you know, Mega Nova here. So appreciate it. All right, my friends. I'm gonna go wrap it up here. So we've been here for about a little over an hour. Thank you so much for joining me on this this live, my first live here. I'm looking forward to actually doing this again, and appreciate all your questions. I hope I was able to answer them. If not, you know, shoot them to me here in the comments, and we will dive into another live here. I'm going to try to do these at least once a month, and maybe we can even increase these to you know, getting these every couple of weeks out there. So again, thank you so much. I wanted to again, you know, just so happy, you know, this went over well. And let's see. Oh, what was the first? Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. So again, thank you all, and I will be chatting with you here on live as well as on the videos. And I'll see you in my next video. Take care, my friends. Cheers.